Ciao, and welcome to Immersion Travel Italy, where we don't just visit Italy, we experience it. I'm Katerina Ferrara, travel author and festival enthusiast, taking you behind the scenes to some of Italy's most unforgettable traditions. From candlelight processions through medieval streets to sizzling food festivals bursting with flavor, I'll share insider tips, hidden gems, and stories you won't find in any guidebook. So grab your espresso and let's dive into the heart and soul of Italy, one festival, one town at a time. Imagine the calm waters of Lago Maggiore, but this time framed by steep mountain slopes, covered in chestnut forest, the scent of alpine in the air, and colorful villas perched along the shore. You've crossed an invisible border. You've left Italy behind. Welcome to Switzerland's Ticino region, where the sweetness of doing nothing meets Swiss precision. This is episode 2 of our Lago Maggiore series, and I'm Katerina Ferrara, your guide through Italy's lakes, festivals, culture, and slow travel moments. In our first episode, we explored the Italian part of the lake, Stresa, Baveno, and the Borromeo Islands, where art and elegance defined the experience. Today we head north into Switzerland to discover the blend of Italian warmth and Swiss sophistication that makes this region so unique. Here, the language is Italian, the espresso is strong, but the trains run on time. It's part of Switzerland that leaves you feeling distinctly Mediterranean, yet with quiet, orderly charm that invites you to slow your pace and savor the details. Our journey begins in Locarno, the gateway to the Swiss north of Lago Maggiore, a town where history, cinema, and sunshine come together at the edge of the Alps. I remember our first visit to Locarno. My husband and I went on one warm May afternoon. We had arranged to drive up from the southern part of the lake, and we arrived in the beautiful main piazza. The scene felt like a painting come to life. Cafe umbrellas open to the sun, locals chattering over espresso, and the scent of blooming wisteria drifting through the air. We found a quiet table for lunch, then we wandered the cobbled streets in search of the famous Laderack chocolatier, smooth, rich, and impossible to resist. We carried those chocolates back to the piazza and savored each bite as we watched life unfold around us. Bells of the nearby church of Sant'Antonio were chiming in the distance. Later, we took the funicular up to the sanctuary of Madonna del Sasso, where every turn of the climb revealed another breathtaking view of the lake shimmering below. From there, we hiked down the green slopes, the air filled with birdsong and the faint scent of pine. That afternoon, we continued to Ascona, elegant and colorful and full of lakeside charm, before catching the ferry back across the water. It was a perfect travel day, absolutely beautiful day on the water. Locarno's nickname, La Città del Sole, the City of Sunshine, is well earned. It's one of the brightest places in Switzerland. That luminous quality seems to soak in everything: the ochre-colored buildings, the lake's reflection, and the rhythm of life in the piazzas. The framed heart of the town is Piazza Grande, one of the most beautiful squares in Switzerland. It's got arched facades and pastel townhouses. It's where life unfolds in every season. Cafes spill onto the cobblestones, locals gather for their morning cafe and gelato in the afternoon. But every August, Piazza Grande transforms into an open-air cinema under the stars, the stage for the Locarno Film Festival, one of the oldest and most prestigious film festivals in Europe. The giant screen hangs across the historic buildings, and over 8,000 people gather under the night sky watching world premieres and art films while the lake glimmers nearby. It's an event that has welcomed Ingrid Bergman, Sophia Loren, and others. But it feels intimate, artistic, and deeply connected to the town itself. If you visit in the summer, you might catch one of these screenings or stumble upon the filmmakers chatting in nearby cafes. It's cinema magic that fits perfectly with Lago Maggiore's atmosphere: timeless, cultured, and a little bit nostalgic. The Madonna del Sasso is the sanctuary that sits above the city. From the piazza, follow the winding lanes uphill or take the funicular, and as soon as you reach the top, you'll be at one of Locarno's most breathtaking sights, the sanctuary of the Madonna del Sasso, or the Madonna of the Rock, perched dramatically above the town. Legend says that in 1480, a Franciscan friar named Bartolomeo de Vrea experienced a vision of the Virgin Mary on this rocky outcrop. In gratitude, he built a small chapel here, which later grew into a grand sanctuary visited by pilgrims for centuries. Today, the church overlooks Lago Maggiore and its perfect stillness, its ochre and white facade glowing in the sunlight, surrounded by terraced gardens and olive trees. Inside, the frescoes tell stories of faith and devotion, while outside, the view stretches endlessly. The lake below, the islands shimmering in the distance, and the mountains fading into the horizon. It is a beautiful spot, I'm telling you. One of the most beautiful spots we saw on Lago Maggiore. It's not hard to understand why writers and artists have come here seeking inspiration. Standing out on that terrace, the world feels both vast and peaceful. The balance defines the spirit of this part of the lake. We decided to walk down instead of taking the crowded funicular down. It's a scenic footpath that winds down, zigzags from the sanctuary to Locarno's old town, with several small chapels along the way. It's about 20 minutes through lush vegetation with glimpses of the lake on the way. It's a great moment. I would recommend it. Back at the lakefront, Locarno continues to surprise. The lake promenade is lined with palm trees and elegant 19th century villas and their gardens filled with beautiful flowers. You can rent a bicycle, stop for gelato at Piazza Grande's bar Pardo, or simply sit by the water and watch the ferries come and go. For art lovers, visit the Casa Rusca, housed in an 18th century palazzo showcasing works by locals and international artists. And for a little indulgence, the Lido Locarno offers thermal pools, lake swimming with views of snow-tipped peaks. It's a surreal experience where winter and summer coexist. As far as the flavors of Locarno, before you leave, try their specialty, polenta e brasato. This is slow-cooked beef in a rich red wine sauce served over creamy polenta, which is cornmeal. Pair it with a glass of Tinto Merlot, the region's signature wine. And for dessert, don't miss a slice of the torta di pane, a sweet, rustic bread pudding flavored with chocolate, raisins, and almonds. It's a beloved comfort food of the area. Dinner on a lakeside terrace as the lights of Locarno shimmer across the water is an experience you won't forget. There's a calm sophistication here, a blend of Swiss organization and Italian soul. Next, you'll transition to Ascona. It's just across the bay. It's smaller, artistic, and irresistibly beautiful. It's known for its colorful lakefront, cobblestone alleyways, and creative energy that once drew painters, poets, and bohemians from across Europe. It just takes 10 minutes to get there from Locarno along the curve of the lake, and it's extremely enchanting. At the beginning of the 20th century, Ascona became a magnet for artists, writers, and philosophers dreaming their way across Europe. They came seeking a different kind of paradise, one rooted in creativity and authenticity, far from the convictions of city life. In 1900, a small group of visionaries founded the Monte Verità, or the Mountain of Truth, just above Ascona. It began as a utopian colony, a place where people could live in harmony with nature, practicing vegetarianism, meditation, and artistic expression. Writers like Carl Jung visited or were influenced by its ideals. The residents of Monte Verità believed in simplicity, barefoot walks, linen garments, and open-air dance, as well as communal living. It was radical for its time, and though it's an experiment that faded, its spirit left a lasting mark on Ascona, shaping it into a town that still feels open-minded, artistic, and a little unconventional. Today, you can still visit Monte Verità, which is a museum, gardens, and a tranquil hotel surrounded by chestnut trees and walking paths. Down at the lake, Ascona hums with sophistication. The Lungo Lago, the famous waterfront promenade, curves along the harbor, lined with colorful 17th and 18th century houses painted in shades of terracotta, rose, lemon, and sea blue. Cafes spill onto the cobblestones, their tables filled with cappuccinos in the morning and Aperol spritzes in the afternoon. It's impossible to not slow your pace here. Even the locals walk differently with a kind of calm awareness that comes from living beside such beauty. The lake mirrors the sky, boats drift by lazily, and the distant bells from the Church of Saints Peter and Paul mark time in a most peaceful way. The church itself is one of Ascona's symbols. Its tall, slender bell tower rises above rooftops, guiding visitors as they wander through the narrow lanes that twist uphill by the waterfront. Inside, frescoes from the 15th century depict biblical scenes with the tenderness that matches the town's gentle spirit. Wander the back streets and you'll find small boutiques, art galleries, and studios displaying ceramics, jewelry, and paintings, many created by local artisans who have given Ascona their talent. Every turn feels like a postcard, flower-filled balconies, quiet courtyards, and glimpses of the lake, arches covered with bougainvillea flowers. For a small town, Ascona has a big cultural heart. Each June, it hosts the Ascona Jazz Festival, one of Europe's oldest open-air jazz events. This is an evening by the lake with notes of saxophone floating over the water, candlelight flickering on cafe tables, and the audience gently swaying to the rhythm. It's music in its purest form, spontaneous, joyful, and deeply human. Later in the year, Ascona celebrates the Settimane Musicale di Ascona. This is a classic musical festival held in churches and historic venues all across town. It's a beautiful contrast. Jazz under the stars and classical music in candlelight, the two sides of Ascona's artistic soul. If you're planning to visit in the spring, you might stumble across smaller local festivals, food markets, flower celebrations, and artisan fairs that reveal the community's close-knit and creative energy. Ascona's cuisine is a reflection of its geography, where Swiss precision meets Italian warmth. In the cozy historic center, grotto-style restaurants serve risotto al merlot, made with the region's ruby red wine, or polenta with mountain cheese and mushrooms. Along the promenade, more refined dining awaits: fresh lake fish, handmade pasta, and desserts infused with chestnuts or honey from the surrounding valleys. For an elegant meal with a view, try the Ristorante al Pontile, where you can dine practically over the water, watching the sunset turn the lake to gold. Or for something more rustic, you can try the Grotto Baldoria. Hidden in the old town, it offers hearty local dishes in a lively and informal atmosphere that captures the warmth of the Ticino hospitality. Of course, end the evening with grappa or nocino, a walnut liquor traditionally made in the region, strong, sweet, and unforgettable. I should also mention that I do a blog for each of these podcasts, so you don't need to have your pen out. You can just visit my website, katerinaferrara.com, and all of these restaurants and other information is in the blog for this episode. Beyond the promenade, Ascona is surrounded by natural beauty. To the west lies the Maggia Valley, a wonder of rivers, waterfalls, and stone villages where life seems untouched by time. It's a perfect day trip for hikers or anyone who loves swimming in emerald mountain pools during the summer. Back in town, you can rent a bicycle or take a ferry to explore the nearby Brissago Islands, famous for their lush botanical gardens filled with tropical plants from every continent. Palm trees, camellias, orchids, and bamboo thrive there thanks to the lake's mild climate, a botanical paradise just 15 minutes from Ascona's harbor. And for pure leisure, Ascona's small beaches and lakefront lidos are ideal for a morning swim or an afternoon siesta under the shade of a tree. There's something about Ascona that lingers after you leave. It's not just the scenery, it's the feeling of being gently pulled into a slower, more reflective rhythm of life. Maybe it's the legacy of Monte Verità, or maybe it's the light, that soft golden light that painters have tried for centuries to capture on canvas. Whatever it is, Ascona feels like a place that invites you to listen to the water, to the music. Standing at the edge of the promenade, the dusk falls. If Ascona is a painting, then the Brissago Islands are the brushstrokes of green, two small oases floating on the blue expanse of Lago Maggiore, just 15 minutes by ferry from the harbor. They're tiny, barely visible from a distance, but close up, they're an entire world. Welcome to the Isole di Brissago, the lush heart of the Swiss side of the lake, where art, botany, and imagination have flourished together for over a century. The story of the islands begins in the 1880s when Baron and Baroness Richard and Antoinette Saint Leger purchased them as a private retreat. Antoinette was a botanist and writer, a true visionary for her time. She transformed these barren rocks into a living experiment, cultivating plants from all over the world: eucalyptus from Australia, bamboo from Asia, and cacti from the Americans. She created her own Eden, writing essays and letters about nature and solitude from this remote paradise. But dreams can fade. After the Baroness faced financial ruin, the islands passed to Max Emden, a wealthy German merchant and art collector who built the neoclassical villa that still stands at the center of the larger island today. He expanded the gardens and filled the villa with art, transforming the islands into a gathering place for writers, scientists, and thinkers. In the decades that followed, ownership changed again, but the spirit of cultivation, both botanical and intellectual, remained. In 1950, the canton of Ticino, together with the Swiss federal government, turned the islands into a botanical park, ensuring this rare ecosystem would be preserved and open to visitors. The Isola Grande is the larger one and home to the villa and the gardens, and the Isolino, or the small island, is a wild sanctuary for birds. The ferries are going to dock at Isola Grande, and as soon as you step off, it'll feel different. The combination of mountain shelter and mild lake temperatures creates a microclimate that allows tropical and subtropical species to thrive even in Switzerland's alpine setting. Wander along the Stone Pass and you'll pass more than 1,700 species of plants from 5 continents. There are groves of magnolia and camellia from Asia, papyrus from the Nile Delta, agaves and prickly pear from Mexico, eucalyptus from Australia, and a bamboo forest that rustles softly in the wind. It's a living global garden on 2 patches of island. Benches along the paths invite you to sit and breathe it all in. The scent of jasmine, the sound of cicadas, and the summer sunlight through the leaves. This is part of the magic of Lago Maggiore. Serenity layered with discovery. At the heart of Isola Grande stands Villa Emden. Its pale facade framed by palm trees and flower beds. Inside, the displays tell the story of the island's evolution. Photos of Baroness St. Ledger's tending her plants, letters describing her hardships of maintaining this tropical flora in alpine winters, and images of the Emden family era. It's all part of the history, part of the love letter to perseverance. The Villa Terrace view is mesmerizing. To the south, you can see Ascona and Locarno, their pastel buildings glowing in the sun. To the north, the lake narrows between mountains shimmering like polished glass. Everywhere you look, water and sky blend seamlessly together. If you have time, sit down at the Café San Ledger on the island, named in honor of the original Baroness, for a cappuccino or an afternoon glass of Merlot. There's no rush here. Ferries come and go quietly, and most visitors seem content to linger, walking slowly through the gardens or sketching in notebooks beneath the trees. The smaller of the 2 islands, the Isolino di Santa Polinare, is closed to the public but serves as a nature reserve. It's home to colonies of birds, nesting herons, and small mammals. Seen from the water, it's a contrast to its cultivated sister. The 2 islands represent the balance of lakes. Ferries to the Brissago Islands depart regularly from Ascona, Brissago, and Locarno, with most routes running April through October. A combined ticket allows you to access both the gardens and the boat service. The best time to visit is in the spring or early summer when the flowers are in full bloom and the air is warm but gentle. Photography is encouraged, but somehow the real memory comes from just sitting still. Standing at the edge of the garden, looking at the snow-capped Alps beyond the palms, you'll realize how truly extraordinary this place is. Before we leave the upper lake, there are a few nearby treasures worth noting. Just across the water, a short ferry ride brings you to the Villa Taranto in Verbania, one of Italy's most renowned botanical gardens, home to more than 20,000 plant varieties. Its sweeping lawns and terrace paths beautifully echo the garden legacy of Isola Madre. And for a panoramic adventure, head to the Monte Materone, the mountain that rises behind Strezza. When the cable car is operating, it's an unforgettable ride to the summit where hikers and photographers can see as many as 7 lakes from the viewpoint. These are easy day trips that connect the Swiss and Italian shores, extending the magic of the lake beyond the single border. Getting there and around. From Milan, direct trains on the Eurocity line reach Locarno in under 2 hours, often with panoramic windows revealing the lake as you approach. If you're already in Switzerland, connections from Zurich or Lugano are fast and scenic, winding through tunnels and mountain valleys before the view suddenly opens onto Lago Maggiore's gleaming water. Once you arrive, local transport is wonderfully efficient. The FART regional rail system, yes, it's called that, links towns like Locarno, Ascona, and Brissago, while ferries and funiculars add a touch of romance to every journey. But truthfully, the best way to explore the region is on foot or by bicycle. The distances are short, the scenes are endless, and the pace is perfectly human. Ferries operate regularly between Locarno, Ascona, and the Brissago Islands, especially from April through October. Schedules are punctual, but remember that in Ticino, time feels flexible, not because people are late, because you want to linger. Where to stay? In Locarno, the Hotel Belvedere Locarno offers elegant rooms overlooking the lake with a garden and a spa perfect for festival season. In Ascona, the Hotel Eden Rock sets the gold standard for luxury right on the waterfront with private docks and tropical gardens. For something more intimate and reasonably priced, the Hotel La Meridiana sits inside an 18th century palazzo full of charm and hospitality. And if you want to embrace the spirit of the early visionaries, you can stay on Monte Verità at the Monte Verità Hotel, surrounded by chestnut trees and beautiful overlooks to the lake. It's peaceful, reflective, and a touch poetic. Dining and local flavors. Try a rustic grotto where stone walls and wooden benches create a cozy setting for local dishes, including polenta with formaggio di Capri, that's goat cheese, brasato al merlot, that's beef slowly braised in red wine, and of course risotto made with creamy lake herbs, mushrooms from the surrounding area. For dessert, sample the marron glaces, candied chestnuts from the valleys, or a scoop of nocciolo gelato paired with espresso on the promenade. Dining here is never rushed. Just like in Italy, it's a ritual, conversation, and a celebration of time together. The best times to visit. Early in the spring, bring blooms, of camellias, and also the festivals celebrating art and music. June is perfect for the Ascona Jazz Fest. In August is the Locarno Film Fest. And in autumn, the colors of the surrounding forest paint the hills gold, rust, and amber, perfect for hiking and photography. Winter has its own quiet charm with fewer crowds, cozy grottos, and a unique soft light over the lake that makes a wonderful time for writers and artists seeking inspiration. Immersion travel tip. Ticino is one of those regions where slowing down rewards you endlessly. Take the local funicular from Locarno to Orsolina for panoramic views, rent an e-bike and follow the lakeside path between Locarno and Ascona, stopping for gelato espresso along the way. Chat with shopkeepers, most speaking Italian and German and loving to share local stories. If you visit Monte Verità, pause under the chestnut trees to just breathe. And remember that travel isn't about collecting sights, but experiences. The first festival that I want to mention is the Feast of the Madonna del Sasso, or the Feast of the Madonna of the Rock in Locarno and also in Orsolina. On August 15th, the Feast of the Assumption of Mary is Locarno's most important festival. This dates back to the Vision of Mary in 1480. Locals become pilgrims and walk along the Via Crucis, the sacred path lined with chapels and frescoes that winds its way from Locarno's old streets to the church in Orsolina. Others arrive by funicular, carrying flowers and rosaries, climbing the final steps in quiet prayer. Masses are celebrated throughout the day, and locals celebrate their patron. Another time of year that I want to mention in this area is Carnevale, because both Locarno and Ascona have incredible celebrations for Carnevale, the traditional pre-Lenten celebration. Each year, between February and March, the streets of Locarno, Ascona, and the nearby villages fill with color. Costume parades, brass bands, risotto stands, and laughter set the tone. A final burst of festivity before Lent begins. While Carnival is often seen as secular today, its roots are profoundly Christian. It's celebrated before the fast, the joy of letting go before 40 days of reflection. In Ascona, locals gather at the lakefront for the famous Risotto del Carnevale, where giant cauldrons bubble with open fires, and in Locarno, the Stranoccada fills the old streets with confetti and marching drums. If you're traveling during Carnival, you'll feel that blend of sacred and playful that defines life around Lago Maggiore. The Swiss north of Lago Maggiore offers something rare, a place that feels both elevated and grounded. It's where alpine precision meets Mediterranean ease, where faith and art share the same space, and where the rhythm of the lake seems to align perfectly with the calm of the water. I hope you've enjoyed today's journey through Locarno and Ascona. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Katerina Ferrara Author to see all of these festivals live, and visit katerinaferrara.com to sign up for my newsletter. Next time, we'll cross back into Italy, gliding south along Lago Maggiore to its central shores. That'll include Verbania, Palanza, and Intra, where elegant villas, botanical gardens, and historic churches line the water's edge. We'll stroll through the Villa Taranto's legendary gardens, visit art-filled palaces, and discover how the quieter side of the lake offers travelers a glimpse of daily life beyond the resorts. So join me in episode 3 of the Immersion Travel Italy Podcast Lago Maggiore series as we continue our journey through beauty, culture, and discovery. Until next time, keep wondering, keep savoring, and keep immersing yourself in Italy.
If you enjoyed today's episode, there's even more to explore at katerinaferrara.com. Discover the towns, festivals, and secret spots featured on this show, read Katerina's latest blogs, and sign up for Katerina's free Travel Italy newsletter, your monthly insider guide to Italy's most unforgettable experiences. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share so more travelers can experience the beauty of Italy's festivals and traditions. Follow on Instagram at Immersion Travel Italy to see the real-life towns and celebrations behind every episode and guidebook. And for those planning a trip, find Katerina's ultimate festival and travel guides, covering Venice and the Veneto, Rome and beyond, Milan, the Italian lakes and Lombardy, Puglia, and Sicily, with more guides coming in the future. A total of 22 regional guides and 2 special event editions are planned, capturing every corner of Italy through its culture, history, and celebrations. Immersion Travel Italy. Experience the heart of Italy, one celebration at a time.